Chairman Brown, Chairman Bouchon, Ranking Members Maffei and Lipinski. Thank you very much for the opportunity to testify here today. I'm here today on behalf of the Center for Democracy and Technology. We're a digital rights advocacy group based here in D.C., and I head up our work on commercial data privacy. Some of us, like me, are lawyers, but we also have technologists on staff who focus on Internet architecture, encryption, and cybersecurity. We've been concerned about the issue of data security for some time. We've supported state efforts to require notification to consumers in the event of data breach, and we've encouraged the Federal Trade Commission to aggressively pursue bad data security cases under its General Commercial Protection Authority. Unfortunately, it appears that the current policy solutions in place have been insufficient to staunch the proliferation of personal data breach. Just last week, the FTC announced that identity theft was the #1 source of consumer complaints for the 14th year in a row. Moreover, the problem seems to be getting worse and not better. For one thing, there's more and more attack surface for malicious actors to target. Even the food trucks where I get my lunch every day accept credit card payments through smart readers attached to their phones. And people increasingly use credit cards for $1 and $2 purchases due to improvements in technology and purchase flows. The proliferation of financial account usage is, of course, tied to the bigger issue of big data in general. It's now easier for companies to collect and analyze all sorts of information about us, not just based on how we use their services, but possibly supplemented by third-party data brokers as well. And it's cheaper for them to maintain these files, too. As storage technology advances, it's just simpler to keep old data around forever. And it's notable that Target was the subject of what was possibly the largest data breach in history, because Target had been discussed in privacy circles recently for different reasons. Last year, it was revealed that Target was developing very sensitive predictive analytics technologies about the people who shopped there, analyzing what they bought to develop profiles about what sort of people they were. And the most famous story coming out of that was there was a father who stormed into Target one afternoon, complaining his daughter was receiving pregnancy-related coupons from Target for diapers or prenatal vitamins. And he said, how dare they? She's just a teenager. And then comes back a couple days later and apologizes that it turns out Target was right in this particular case. It's worth noting that this sort of sensitive information about what we buy, what we read, where we go, who we associate with, that's at risk, too, in the big data world. Target didn't just lose information about 40 million financial accounts. They also allegedly lost 70 million profiles from its customer relationship management database. Did that include their assessments of all their shoppers, possibly supplemented with third-party data? We don't know. We believe these issues should be addressed together. First, the United States should have comprehensive data privacy and security legislation. We're one of the few developed nations in the world that doesn't have baseline protections for all personal information. The FTC has tried to use its limited general consumer protection mandate to better protect privacy and data security, but that authority is currently being challenged in court by Wyndham Hotels. In that case, the FTC argued that Wyndham Hotels' use of objectively poor data security to safeguard consumer data constituted an unfair business practice under Section 5 of the FTC Act. Wyndham's refused to accept responsibility for its poor security management and is challenging the FTC's authority to go after bad security practices. We believe technology has a really important role to play in limiting data breach incidents, but we do not believe that Congress should enact specific technological data security solutions. That would embed current practices in the law and limit innovation in the future. Rather, policymakers should enact laws that strongly incentivize companies to safeguard personal data with significant consequences for companies that fail to use reasonable security practices. Now, for financial account information, there's actually some pretty good incentives under the law right now. Companies to undergo a financial data breach have to absorb the cost of data breach notification to consumers, investigation, credit monitoring, loss of consumer goodwill, and then payment to the issuing bank for potential violation of PCI standards. Yesterday, it was reported that Target has already spent over $60 million in the breach from last year. And in 2007, TJX Corporation reported they had spent over $250 million from their data breach incident. However, it's not clear that these potential costs are sufficiently internalized today within corporate decision-making. Organizations and people in general, unfortunately, have a tendency to undervaluate small percentage chances of very bad things happening. And that appears to be what's happening with data security. Companies are convincing themselves it won't happen to them, and are in many cases failing to adequately account for security risks. We believe that strengthening the FTC's authority to go after bad security practices, along with the authority to obtain civil penalties for bad security, would help push companies in the right direction. We also believe that legislation should require companies to develop privacy and security plans and to adhere to privacy and security by design principles. If companies are encouraged to think proactively and prophylactically about data privacy and security from the beginning in product and system development, that will result in better outcomes for all consumers. Thank you very much for the opportunity to testify, and I look forward to your questions.